This is DaveNoseworthyMMA.
It's fight week, and we're on the cusp of a big one. I don't mean the full card of UFC 220 itself, because if I'm being perfectly honest, to say it's a little top-heavy would be a major understatement. The card itself is actually quite lackluster considering it's a pay-per-view, but it's going to finish strong as the co-main event is a light heavyweight championship fight, and the main event is a heavyweight championship fight. The big one that I was referring to is the main event between Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic. In my opinion, this is the biggest heavyweight title fight we have had in years. It's been a while since we've seen Miocic compete. He's coming off of an 8-month layoff and is finally making the return to defend his crown. As with any division in the UFC, the landscape changes quickly and it changes often, and things have most certainly changed since Miocic last fought. The most notable being that an absolute monster has emerged and climbed his way to the top of the rankings. Francis Ngannou has officially shaken things up. His performance in his last fight versus Overeem left most of us speechless. There is so much about that fight and the way in which things unfolded that speaks volumes about Ngannou. It's not just that he knocked out one of the most dangerous and decorated fighters in the game with a single shot. It's the fact that he was quite possibly the most vicious KO to ever take place in the heavyweight division, and he pulled it off in under 2 minutes in the very first round. Full disclosure, I actually picked against Ngannou in that fight. Although I was impressed with what I saw up until that point, with only 11 fights under his belt at the time and only a handful of them being against the highest level of competition, I figured the experience of Overeem would be enough to shut him down and bring the hype train to a halt. Wrong. I'm actually still kind of in shock from that knockout, especially after seeing the footage that the UFC released in the promo they recently did showing the aftermath and the state Overeem was in. It's downright scary what Ngannou is capable of. To be able to generate that much power in a single shot, fire it off and nail the target right in the bullseye on any man takes a lot of skill, technique, and natural ability, but to be able to pull that off on one of the greatest strikers in the heavyweight division and someone who is approximately 4 times more experienced than you, that's something special. So needless to say, things are going to get very interesting in Boston this Saturday when the main event rolls around. I can't speak for everyone, but the general consensus, at least on my social media feed, seems to be that the Ngannou era is upon us. His last couple of performances have been undeniable. The way in which he's dispatched of high-level competition is something we haven't seen in the heavyweight division for quite some time now. Stipe and Werdum had some good runs, but throughout those runs, they had dealt with absorbing some damage and needing to overcome some adversity, but this is something Ngannou has not had to deal with, simply because he's gotten his opponent out of there before they even get a chance to put him in danger. He is the scariest man on the roster at the moment, and though he's coming into this fight as a title fight as a challenger, he's still a betting favorite over the champion, and he's earned it. But I'm still leaning towards Stipe to get the win. I was wrong before and I'll be wrong again, but I feel like the grizzled, durable champ is going to get it done one way or another. Miocic has a grappling prowess that he never puts on display, and maybe in this fight he'll use it to attempt to slow down Ngannou and drain that gas tank a bit. I don't know, it's just how I see things playing out. A part of me also feels like a Tyson-esque figure coming about in the UFC is just too good to be true for the promotion, and that the workhorse is going to go in there and put an end to all that hype. But if Ngannou can show up on Saturday night and do to Stipe what he's done to everybody else thus far in his UFC run, holy fuck,